And I think you're all set.
Okay, well, let's get started. Good evening and welcome to the Wednesday, March 8th, 2023 Town Council Appointment and Negotiation Committee meeting. In attendance, we have Councilor Hamel and Councilor Clucci and myself, full attendance. And as we noted, we have moved the public comment to the beginning of the meeting. So if anyone wants to comment on any of our agenda items, now would be the time to raise your hand and make a comment. See any public? And then the door shook a little. People are knocking on the door. Yeah, I probably should. Okay. If there's no public comment, we will move on to item number 4, which is the approval of the minutes for February 8th meeting. Did everyone get a chance to review the minutes?
Yes,
Okay, do I have a motion?
motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Great. First discussion item this evening is to discuss any possible openings on boards and committees. We did just receive a resignation on the planning board, so we are going to put that back out and solicit some more applications to see if there's anyone interested in planning board. Hopefully in the next month, we can get some, get the word out there, see if we can get some more applications. We have a pretty good board right now, so it'd be great to get anyone around there.
I'm looking at the screen. Are we okay, Leo?
Jean Marie's trying to get in and she hasn't been able to, so I'm not sure what the issue was with the link.
Well, she can comment whenever she wants. She probably wants to get there for our next.
Do you want to put her on speakerphone?
Wait a second, if you want. Because we're gonna move on to item 2, and I'm imagining if that's,
She said she got YouTube, so I think she's all set.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so we're gonna move on to item number 2, which is the discussion of the charge for the ad hoc community center advisory committee. We had a great draft that staff put together that we've been circulating. And so, I don't know if we want to dive into that and talk about, I mean, Don made a lot of great just grammatical errors and I think very technical. Well, no, I'm just saying, like, I don't think we need to discuss those
Okay.
so much, unless John wants to.
So are we working off of the version that's online, or not online, the one that Liam sent around?
Yeah, all I have is this working draft that
We're gonna just bring that.
I don't know if that's like,
I have to try to pull it up.
yeah,
okay.
is that something we should share?
He did.
All right, so if you guys want to help me walk through this, and I don't know the best way to approach this, if you just want to go through the edits, or if you want, if you have questions about any of the edits.
I was happy with it, the last I checked, so I'm just now catching up on what they've changed.
Okay, did you see Don's edit? Yeah,
I am not,
oh, okay,
I looked at it before done with it.
Yeah, I just pulled up the version. We've just been editing the same version, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So it's just clarifying language.
pretty much.
Yeah, I just thought that they're just wording changes that would content wise not much different. In terms of if there's anything substantive, I don't really recall.
No, I like that you added to review you added comprehensive plan, so we're gonna.
Yeah.
Part of the, I like that you've added other things that were definitely going to be included in what we're reviewing and as part of our consideration.
So I can just scroll through the working document.
That'd be great if you could.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only on space needs, I suggested program offerings, if that was just the other. But I thought it was, 95% spot on and seemed to work well in the past. And he was right, you couldn't have pulled from the last.
This was Tom and Todd that compiled this, off of the last community center charge, which we understand the scope is very different, but as a
Right.
template, yeah. So this is what you're talking about, incorporating the
saying.
comprehensive. plan.
Yep, so I don't know if if you have any thoughts or anything else we should consider.
I
I think that's enough.
Well, there was a question about the composition of people. Maybe the numbers on this one or not, but what the membership would be.
Yeah, so let's talk about that for a minute, because I had said to Tom Hall, should we see if people are interested from the prior committee? He felt there would definitely be interest. There's 3 from that, though. I
The
thought it- I
committee
thought
worked
it was
so
2.
hard that it would be great to pull some,
Yeah,
some more.
the question I had is I wasn't sure if these 2 highlighted paragraphs were referring to the same thing. The 3 non-voting members, if it's 3, then why do we have 4?
I think it should be
a
be
typo?
about 4.
Okay, so.
And that's what's typical. I remember on the charter review, it was kind of the same.
Is that a change you'd like to see, or is that?
I think it's an error.
It doesn't make
Yeah, I
sense
think it was
otherwise.
just an error.
Because
It-
the
So
law
so you agree with the 4, then having 4, okay.
We're referring to the non-voting members.
Yeah.
now.
So we're gonna worry about two deadlocks. Or the non-voting members. Or the.
Well, no, exactly. the non-voting.
What's the reasoning behind a member of a school department for a community center? Just like childcare or like location?
Coordination. So
Coordination.
if there's opportunity to solve something with the community center project that they can't quite get, it's vice versa.
Right.
With the school, it's just to understand that.
Right.
And they had a seat, also non-voting, we had the prior
Yeah.
community center.
Yeah. Thanks.
They might not want to be. Not there yet.
That was. They're not busy.
I don't know
Just
why
make them
everyone
come
wants to
over
be
here
out there.
too. But it's a school department, not school. Which is interesting. Is that how it was in the prior one? I guess it was. It was someone from the school
So
department.
differentiation there's the member of staff versus a member of the Board of Education.
Right, yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
And so they're saying they want staff here, which is different than
Sure, sure,
everyone
yeah, there
else,
should be
because we
staff
have a
there.
town council member and then we have the Scarborough Library. When I talked briefly to Nancy, I thought I got the impression it was someone from their board, not staff.
I think it probably will be. And I think school department
Could be
Is-
board.
could probably be either. Yeah.
Okay. And I'm,
Does the committee have a preference for whether it's a member of the Board of Education, a member of staff, or does it not matter as long as they're a representative of the school department?
I am more inclined to say school board because they are representing the interests of the residents, not their employer,
I'll go with that.
I guess would be
That works for me.
that's just my initial response, but
I didn't have a
With
strong
that-
preference. That
with
someone
that being
sounds
said,
like a-
they're super busy. And I don't want to pigeonhole one of the 4 school board members.
I think you're right. There's some benefits to having the school board aligned
I-
with this. Let me back up.
That's personally my preference. Can we talk about it? And we'll make sure they're okay with that, I guess. Or we'll just tell them this is what.
You gotta point something.
Well, this is a draft that's coming out of committee and there's obviously
Yep.
an opportunity to speak with them. And would you like this to be also a member of the library board of trustees? Or would you like this to be simply a representative from the library?
That's a good question. I mean, do you think we should change? This just says a member representing the Scarborough Public Library.
So we're kind of leaving it up there.
I think
So
it's
should,
up to them, really. I mean, it doesn't have to be a member of staff. I mean,
I
the
don't have
board
strong
is,
preference.
the board has, a number of non-library employees.
Yeah, they have a volunteer board as well.
John's on it, right? Or John Anderson is on it, or Nick McGee is? No?
Nick is,
Nick is
he's the
not.
liaison.
Is a liaison. I mean, Bill Donovan would be, he's the chair, president of the board of trustees, correct?
Isn't Peter Freilinger on it too?
he is.
Yeah, from zoning board.
So I think they have a pretty good pool that they can pick from. And I think they'll be interested, honestly.
Oh, I know they are. Yeah, I know.
So you're fine with that one being either a trustee or a member of staff, as long as there's someone from the library?
Yeah, so point,
That's fine.
once a month.
Any other comments on
The
membership?
only question I had was on timeframe. You know, December 1, you know,
Well, did you see Tom's notes?
It's funny, I
Yes.
said the same thing, Don. After our last meeting, I had a conversation with Tom, because I thought that unnecessarily aggressive, maybe. But
I didn't know what we would be delivering per se on December 1st, where this, I appreciate Tom's comments because I think it makes it very, very clear the end goal. Obviously.
So I think Tom's language is better.
yeah,
Um,
it moves the marker. One less thing to get all tangled up in.
Well, it creates some checkpoints.
Yeah.
Not just one, but. And it works toward a progression, like this is, we're targeting the referendum next year.
And your expectations.
So would
Yeah,
you like,
exactly.
would you like me to incorporate Tom's suggested language into the portion under time frame?
Yes.
Sure.
Agreed.
Yep.
Formatting that.
So one of the things that we have to determine is when this, like, what the commitment is. So, you know, when I say, okay, let's go back to the old committee and say, hey, you want to join our new one? They're gonna say, well, when do you meet? How often do you meet? What's the expectation? And I think that's where I'm saying, okay, we want someone from the school board, we want someone from the library. But where in this are we saying,
We
It's up to the
typically allow
committee.
them to self-organize,
Yeah,
and they, a lot of times we'll even create subcommittees.
yeah, that's what we did charter?
I thought the duration of the last one is not going to be long, but it was pretty intense.
They had to extend it, though.
They did extend it,
Yeah.
but they did a volume of work, you know,
Mhm.
incredible detail.
There's a lot to draw from.
I do recall this being a discussion point with the formation of both previous ad hoc committee charges. I believe that was exactly right. Rather than prescribe what, how frequently they meet or anything, we allow them to self-govern. So I don't know if that really means, so maybe to the
Okay.
degree there's a reference to it, it's the committee will determine the frequency and duration of, but I don't think that even needs to be stated.
Yeah, after they elect their chair and they'll work around their schedule.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Anything else?
Yeah, a little percentage.
Exactly.
So procedurally, my understanding is then this will go to the council. And if it's approved, then what's gonna happen is my understanding is it's gonna come back to us to fill in the, we're gonna bring in 3 members from the 2018 ad hoc. And then we're gonna bring in 2 members from the Community Services Advisory Board. And then I think we're gonna have an executive session to fill in the 4 resident-wide spots.
I'll do the council. Council level will do the 4 and then the committee will do the 5.
I think that was the loose conversation we had. I think if we're gonna be in front of council, we can reaffirm that. I mean, I know for me, I think we can represent who we've chosen and say why we chose, you know, these people for the ad hoc from 2018 and why we're choosing these.
We may not have choices.
I know we do with the Community Services Advisory. It's gonna, they are all chomping at the bit to be part of this, which is great. That's how when I looked at the 3 for the 2018, Tom is confident that he thinks there'll be enough interest.
I hope so.
I agree. I hope so. And so I think one of the next steps I was thinking we need to do is to reach out to that committee and confirm.
So just Toby was just sharing that the membership, it does state that appointees to the committee shall be recommended by the Appointments and Negotiations Committee and appointed by the town council.
Okay,
So it doesn't differentiate that the ANC would populate the 3 from the ad
Okay,
hoc, the
thank
2
you.
from the community services board, and then have the council, pick the larger one.
Okay,
It sounds like as currently composed, you would actually go through the entire recommendation process to the council for all members.
So process wise, we approved the charge at the council level, advertised for, that this has been approved. Invite people to apply, and then we'll start the kind of like your normal process, we'll set through. Trying to pick them. And we
And
can
then
do that
you'll-
in executive session or
Right.
public session.
And then you'd bring back a recommendation of slate, essentially of 9 members to the council to approve.
And if the council doesn't want to do it that way, the council can change it.
exactly.
By modifying the charge and goes to the council. I do think that that's a point that should probably be flagged to the council.
Yeah, I mean,
Because that is a deviation from how the last two ad hoc committees were formulated.
Right. They
I
were
mean, I'm
all
pretty
done.
flexible on how that goes.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I want to do whatever the council is comfortable with. So,
The only question I have would be timing, how quickly we want to go through the process of starting the staffing. If we're not sure when the committee would convene, does it make sense to wait until after budget or to wait until
I don't
the
think we need to
fall,
rush
or,
this through
you know.
council. Maybe you take 2 meetings at council level or something, and then you advertise for what, a month and a half? or-
yeah, time has.
so I should disclose, I'm writing a council corner article for April 15th on the community center. And I will be.
So that's a good time to
mentioning-
try. to
That's
get
why I
approved
pushed,
by
I
council.
pushed, April was like, do you want April 1st? I was like, no, let's go with April 15th, which gives me more time to do the article. But also for this to maybe come a little bit more.
Yeah.
forward.
By the time you do that, we will budget season, it's the summer, I mean, we won't.
Well, that'd be good advertising.
Yeah.
That
That's
article
kind of,
you
it was,
gave-
we just did the parks and facilities thing, so I was gonna talk about that, and I was gonna talk about this, and then about why we need a community center.
The only concern that I have is that people think that this is preempting what other things are in the
I
pipeline.
don't want to create that.
So we need to think our way through that, because as people could complain, well, that means they must think that school, consolidated, elementary school is not top of the priority list. I don't want to cast aspersions, but,
Yeah, I mean,
people could go down
for
that.
someone
Yeah.
like me who's close to it, I feel like, the school's here, and now we're starting where the school started a couple of years ago. This is where the school started a couple of years ago, so this is, and we're on another ballot, another year, not this year.
Mhm.
So hopefully people can do that.
Just looking at a logical timeline, so if this went for first read at next meeting on the 15th.
Usually a charge is just an action item. It doesn't take 2 meetings. It only takes 1.
But if they wanted to, so if you wanted to stretch it out to 2 meetings so that the council had a chance to review it. The 15th would be the first iteration, the 5th of April. Likely you'd have an approved chart from council that did not align well with your notification to say, we're having this committee and here's the timing, and maybe in your article, you can assuage whatever those concerns are on stacking things up.
Yeah.
If we start accepting applications after the 5th and we post that for a month, then you're into May. You have a month for applications, then it's gonna take you another meeting or more to constitute the committee. You're looking at middle of May, end of May.
Mhm.
And if you're looking for any sort of, that's.
And
not a
then
bad
it's the
timeframe.
summer, and then it's one meeting a month, and
Well,
the
the
council-
ad hoc committees might likely will be, but I mean, so I don't think that. I think the school conversation will be obviously in a very different place, or should be a few months on from now. So I guess there's just a lot happening now, and
Yes.
we can't let one thing.
Yeah, there's no
but there
point
needs to be some clarification.
delaying anything at this point, but you got a lot of options to.
We're not talking about first meeting until the end of May at the earliest, early
Oh,
June.
gosh. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
I see
I-
this kind of starting in June-ish.
Yeah.
So I think
After
that
budget.
that would require moving this along though, from this committee standpoint.
I have no problem pushing along, and if we have to delay the starting of it, because for one reason or another. That's the applications we're gonna get.
Right, we might have to work for it.
And when has more time been a bad thing?
Right, actually being ahead of the game a little bit.
If they, if
That's
they
how I
conform
like
as a committee and they have ample time to chase down these other leads and answer these questions and do a more robust product, I think that's probably okay. I wouldn't hold it back to hold it back. Because we have found time to be more helpful.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be, this isn't gonna be very visible. You know, they're gonna be having meetings and they're happening, that's all. They're not gonna be giving a report till after
Yeah, they could have a monthly.
November, right?
For a while, yeah.
All right. What are we thinking? How are we feeling?
Motion to move this as amended, forward to council.
Second,
Discussion.
Good work.
All in favor? Great. That was easy. Thank you. Okay, item number 3 is the town manager employment agreement. So we just listed this on here because one of the things that our committee does deal with is the renegotiation of the town manager's contract. And so we just thought we'd touch on this subject and mention it and let the public know that this is something we do. And Mr. Hamel, Councilor Hamel, was on the committee the last time. I asked him to maybe just give us a quick timeline, so John and I and the public know what's coming.
so Liam and I worked on this way back when, I think it was a year, calendar year, 2019, maybe even. So it's 3 years later now, here we are, going to follow the same process that we established then. The only thing that would really change here is that we it's 2023 instead of 2020. The one thing we have not updated on, Liam, is typically we do in parallel market analysis and make sure that we have a handle on what's happening in the market. So that would be, something that would be taking place first. And then, there are some deadlines, March 31st for Tom to notify the council, of his expiration date. His expiration date for the current agreement is the end of December 2023, so the calendar year. And then sometime in May, the council would meet in executive session and determine, the issues that we may want to discuss in terms of renegotiating the agreement, including, a potential compensation recommendation. Then we've got a deadline, the council has a deadline of June 1 to meet, regarding the extension, Tom's employment agreement. And we meet in executive session sometime that month to get into detail about terms and conditions, if there are any that we want to change potentially for both parties. And then June 30, the council would notify the town manager of decision to renew or not renew. If we don't do anything, his current employment agreement would automatically renew for a 3-year term. So our expectation is that we would go through this process and rather than just sort of defer and let it automatically renew. That's been a practice, every 3 years. Tom's been here now over 10 years, so we've gone through this. This will be the 3rd or 4th time, I guess, we're doing it. Then July, the council or, naming people on behalf of the council meet with Tom in an executive session and negotiate the agreement. We've got a fair amount of time. It's doubtful we would take along, the entire remaining months of 2023 in order to, negotiate. So typically it takes place in a month or so once the budget is done. So that's the plan we would have for this cycle. It worked really well last time, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, good job.
Great.
Update the 2020 to 2023.
So, and we could, vote formally on that just to kind of, follow the same process that's been established. You can do that, now, and I can report out. You and Karen can report out at the next town council meeting in terms of committee update from appointments.
Okay.
And you do have to market that out.
Yeah. And I mean, the last couple times we've done a couple times. Really great data. It's very informative. I was in expectation the market's moved. There's
I
been
think
some,
I heard that it has.
yeah, so, we'll have to get smart on that. That's that. Time flies.
So I'll move to approve the process. As proposed.
Second,
Discussion? Favor?
Thank you.
thanks.
Thank you. That's it. I don't know. So set next agenda items. And hopefully we'll have some applications for the planning board. Maybe we'll talk about the ad hoc community center. We'll find out. There we go. That's all I got.
Is there a motion to adjourn then?
Okay, do you have a motion?
Yes, motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Great.